الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Gotta put that fan on there. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, I want to discuss some of the mawaqif and some of the things that are really important that happened during the month of Ramadan with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's companions. In this khutbah now, as well as in the talk that's going to be tonight at 8 o'clock, inshallah, and as well on the day of the Eid, which is going to be on Friday or Saturday, and it's going to be held in Bedford Park at 9 o'clock a.m. sharp. This today can be the very last Jummah that I will see you as possible, because if the Eid is on Saturday, then I won't be giving the khutbah Friday here. So in the last khutbah of Jummah possibly, I want to tell you about an incident, a few incidents that are glaring examples of the ease of Islam, the beauty of Islam. But we make it difficult for ourselves. We make it difficult upon ourselves, and we make it difficult upon other people. The non-Muslims especially, they have a lot of shubahat. They have ideas about Islam that are not true. But you can't blame them for some of these ideas, because the Arabs used to say, al-jahil adu nafsi. He is his own worst enemy, because if you're ignorant about something, then it's going to be a problem. Man jahal shay'a adu. Anybody who doesn't know about something, it's not what he's used to, he thinks there's a problem. For an example, the non-Muslims, they look at the Muslim woman wearing hijab. There's the Muslim woman who wears total, complete, absolute jilbab with niqab and maybe even some gloves. So in this weather, the non-Muslim who is used to walking around naked and seeing women walk around naked, I mean naked, when they contrast what they're used to with the iffa and the izzah and the sharaf of al-Islam and the woman, they say Islam is difficult. That's a shubha. So we know many revert sisters who used to be with those people, and then they embraced Islam, and now they're with these people. And if you were to ask her today, is it difficult? She'll say, yes, I sweat and things like that. And I get stares, and I don't like that, but wallahi, I'm not going to take off my jilbab, and then I'm going to take off my niqab, because it's not difficult, because she has iman. That's a shubha in their mind. Another shubha is that they think Islam is difficult. You people are fasting 18 and a half hours in a day. That's hard for them to comprehend. Why? Because their biological clocks, their real clocks, set by their stomachs. They eat from the morning time to the night time, just as we do outside of the month of Ramadan, when we follow their sunnah and we don't follow the sunnah of Abul Qasim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when they find us fasting 18 and a half hours during the course of the day, they say, wow, this religion is difficult. But you take any Muslim who's fasting, you say, are you hungry? You hungry? Hungry? None of us get hungry during the course of the day. Maybe at the beginning of Ramadan, but right now, the vast majority of us are not hungry as a result of fasting. We're used to it. It's easy. So they have shubahat. Unfortunately, they have some shubahat that Islam is difficult, and we reinforce those shubahat. Some non-Muslims believe that Islam is a barbaric religion. The Muslim knows it's not barbaric based upon the examples I'm going to give you right now, inshallah. But when we find Muslims in Tunis going to the sea where the non-Muslims are making ma'asiyah and the noob, and he takes an AK-47 and he blasts those people like that, when the world sees that, the world says, these people are crazy. This religion is barbaric. We reinforce this stereotype. We reinforce it. When we force our daughters to marry her cousin without taking her opinion, the way we are, we reinforce these stereotypes. But the religion of Islam is bari from the shiddah that people think is inside of it, and Islam is bari from the shiddah and the tanfir that the Muslims themselves bring to the table. Now I want to ask you, brothers, and I want you to look at what I'm about to say and share with you from the prism of this hadith. I want to ask ISIS. Did ISIS ever hear of this hadith that I'm about to share with you, brothers? Did the man who was in Tunis, who blasted those people, did he ever hear about this hadith? I can almost guarantee you that they heard about this hadith, because everybody here, the vast majority of you have heard about this hadith and similar hadith. But the problem here is understanding the fahm, and also the tatbiq. How do you practice it? Some people in the audience, our children are fasting. I have an 8-year-old daughter, 9-year-old son, 10-year-old son. I have children. I want them to fast. From the sunnah of the companions, radiyallahu anhum, is they used to encourage their children who were small to fast, giving them tadrib, training them. You're going to be a Muslim. You're a Muslim. You're going to have to fast. They're 6, 7, and they're fasting. When the children started crying because they were hungry, the parents would give them toys, showing companions had toys. So the father who feels toys are haram can't have any toys. What are you talking about? And then the father who makes his child fast 18 and a half hours, and he's 5, she's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hey, take it easy. This hadith I'm about to show you right now, share with you, shows, take it easy. Let the child fast 6 hours, 7 hours, half of the day, on Saturday, Sunday. But when he's going to school, relax, relax. And this hadith shows this. And this hadith has been collected by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. The Prophet was in the masjid in the month of Ramadan, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A man came. He said, Ya Rasulullah, halaktu. And in another narration, ihtarabtu. Ya Rasulullah, I destroyed myself. I'm destroyed, or I've been burnt. I destroyed myself, I burnt myself to destruction. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, not knowing the ilm al-ghayb. Muslims are saying that the Nabi knows the ilm al-ghayb, putting him on par with Allah. Hal ta'lam lahu sawiyan. There's no one like Allah. Lan yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Nobody is like Allah. Prophet Muhammad doesn't know the ilm al-ghayb. So he said to the man, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَمَا أَهْلَكَكَ. What destroyed you? If he knew the ilm al-ghayb, he would have known. What destroyed you? Why do you say that? He said, because I had relationships with my wife in the month of Ramadan. In Islam, the sins are not the same. You have sagha'ir and you have the kaba'ir. Small sins, major sins. The major sins, they're not all the same. Some major sins are bigger than other major sins. But all of the major sins are serious. Ijtanibu as-sab'al mubiqat. Stay away from the 7 things that will destroy you. They're bigger than the other ones. Like making shirk with Allah. Like making sihr and magic. And also riba. Eating and devouring the money of the orphan. Running away from the battlefield, accusing a Muslim woman who is ghafira, she's innocent. You say she is zaniya, you talk about her irm. Those major sins are not the same. One of the biggest sins in Islam, from the major sins, is to break your fast in the month of Ramadan without a justified reason, without a religious reason. This man, that's what happened to him. How did he break his fast? From his shahwa. He came, Ya Rasulullah, I'm destroyed. And that's a proof that when a Muslim makes a sin, he has to feel that way. Hey, I messed up. I really messed up. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and nadam tawbah. If a person feels bad about what he did, it's a sign that he's making tawbah. But for the one to do something and he doesn't care, he's indifferent, there's no problem, then this is a sign of destruction for him. This man came and exposed himself, as many of the companions used to do. The lady went to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, Atim alayya al-hadd. Put the hadd on me, because I made zina. Nobody knew about it. No one knew about it. All of the people were amazed. Why would she do that? Expose herself. Why would she do that? And the Prophet ultimately stoned her. When one of the companions said to her, oh, she's a nasty lady. He said, don't say that about that lady. If you take that lady and you put her iman in the scale, and 70 people of Al-Medina from the companions, not 70 people from Bedford in 2015, 70 people from Al-Medina from the companions, you put their iman in the scale, hers is going to outweigh. Why? Because her iman, her fear of Allah, her belief in Yawm al-Qiyamah made her come and expose herself. And that's not something that Arabs find very easy back then. Now you'll find an Arab doing pornography and many people are watching. There's an Arab man, Arab lady doing pornography. Many people are watching. They don't care. But back then, you better not get caught doing or saying something like that, because your tribe, your family are going to deal with you. So anyway, they used to have that sense of sorrow for what they did. This man, Ya Rasulullah, I'm destroyed. What destroyed you? I had relations with my wife in the month of Ramadan during the daytime. He said, do you have the ability to free a slave? To solve this problem, there's a penalty. If you break your fast during the daytime in Ramadan, you have to free a slave. Can you free a slave? He said, I don't have a slave. He said, can you fast 2 months consecutively? 2 months straight. And if you fast 1 week, 13 days, 20 days, and then you miss the next day, you have to start all over again. And you have to spend your life until you get those 60 days in. Can you fast 2 months consecutively? He said, I can't do that. He said, do you have the ability to feed 60 people? Since you can't fast for 60 days, can you feed 60 people? He said, I'm poor, I'm broke, I can't feed 60 people. He said, go over there and sit down, just sit down. As the Prophet was sitting there with the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, another man came in with a container. He said, Ya Rasulullah, this man didn't witness what happened. He came in the month of Ramadan and he gave the container sadaqah fi sabilillah, because Ramadan is the month of sadaqah. Ramadan is not the month of bukhl. If you have not exerted yourself in terms of qiyamul layl and tarawih, if you have not raised your game in terms of reciting that Quran, if you have not raised your game in terms of trying to be more religious, more pious, then I don't know what your Ramadan is. I don't know what the Ramadan is of the person who he's the same as he was in the month before. Ramadan is the month that everyone, no matter how religious, irreligious you happen to be, everyone is going to raise his existence up a notch or 2 or 3 or 4. And everybody's on different levels. So that man came and he gave sadaqah fi sabilillah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam thanked him and he called that man. He said, come. He said, I want you to take this right here and I want you to go and give it to 60 people for yourself. The 60 people that you were supposed to feed, your brother has helped you. Take this money and go feed it. The man said, Ya Rasulullah, ma bayna labitayha ahadun afqaru minna. There's no one in Medina, living in Medina. Out of all of these poor people in Medina, me and my family are the poorest people. You want me to take this and go give it to poor people? I'm the poorest person. The Prophet ﷺ smiled. He didn't smile like this. The narrator of the hadith, Abu Hurairah, said they saw his anyab, they saw his teeth. He was amused at what the man said in his situation. You come to tell us that you broke your fast from your shahwa in the month of Ramadan, a kabira from the kaba'ir, and now you're telling me that you want the food? He smiled, he was amused. He told the man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, go ahead and take it, eat it, you and your family. Now the person from ISIS, the person who's on the aqid and the minhaj of those who want to chop the heads off of British soldiers in the street, the understanding of Islam of people like that is that if they were in the position of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would have cracked him in the middle of his head for breaking his fast in the middle of Ramadan. They would have cracked him in the middle of his head, chopped his head off. Because how dare you do such a thing? But the one that Allah Ta'ala described in the Quran and He said about him, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, He's not like that. The way He deals with people is, He wants to show everybody who's a Muslim, everybody who's not a Muslim, Allah wants to give you life. Allah is gentle with you. Allah is easy with everybody here. And we've given this message in this masjid over and over and over again in different ways. Because you can never do the subject matter justice. If you read those ayat of fasting, that the Quran was revealed in fasting and so forth and so on, one of the ayat of fasting is the statement of Allah, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants ease for you people. He doesn't want to make things difficult for you. He wants to make things easy for the people. He said in the Quran, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah wants to make your burden light because mankind has been created weak. الآن خفف الله عنكم وعلم أن فيكم ضعفا. Allah has made things easy. It was like this before. Now it's أخف and أسهل for you. ما جعل الله عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم. What is the millah of Ibrahim? It's what the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ألا إني بعثت بالحنفية السمحاء. My religion is the religion that is ease. When we pray, and we pray this Taraweeh, the Imam doesn't have to read a whole juz. We have to look at the situation of the community, look at the time, look at the day, and then we decide collectively as a community what we're going to do. If we decide to read a juz every day, and people start complaining, easy, al-an, خفف الله عنكم. Look at the mawaqif in Ramadan. The Nabi came out in the month of Ramadan, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as you all know. Like the hadith I just mentioned, you all know. He came out, he prayed. Some people came behind him, they prayed. He came out the second day. More people came out and prayed. The third day, a lot of people came out, waiting for him to come out. He knew that they were there, so they started picking up stones and started throwing it at his door so that he could hear them. He heard them, but what did he do? He left them out there. The next day he came out, he prayed with them Fajr, and he said, yesterday your presence did not go unknown to me. I knew you were here, but I didn't want to come out to pray with you in Ramadan. And the reason why I didn't want to come out to pray with you is because I was afraid if we started making this prayer Taraweeh in Ramadan, it may become wajib upon you and you can't do it. And how are you going to do Taraweeh if it was wajib when the 5 prayers of Islam you can't do in the future? The 5 prayers of Islam, the Muslims won't be able to do in the future. During his companions' time, you didn't have this. The only people who didn't do the 5 prayers were the munafiqeen. So the point is, that's another one of the many mawaqif in al-Islam that go to show our religion is a religion that came to make things easy for everybody. It didn't come to make things difficult on you. Allah doesn't love that type of situation. He was traveling in the month of Ramadan with his companion, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of the people were fasting, and he saw that there was some izdiham. He said, what's going on over there? Again, if you know the ilm al-ghayb, if he was hazir nazir, omnipresent, he was everywhere, he wouldn't have asked, what's going on over there? They say, Ya Rasulullah, there's a man over there, he's fasting, and he fell out. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about that man and others who were fasting, doing who was too difficult for him. He told them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ulaika hum al-usat. Those people are the disobedient ones. They're being disobedient to Allah and His Messenger. They don't understand that this religion doesn't put that difficulty on it. Right now, during these months, our shabab, the constructive ones from our community, the ones that we're proud of, the ones who, on the day of their Eid, you parents, if you're the mother and the fathers of these kids, you need to go get them some nice presents. The ones who you give a hard time with, and then when they make an accomplishment, you have nothing to say. Our children are graduating these days from one level to another level. Some of them are getting their degrees. Some of them in the university are studying during these months of Ramadan, during these days of Ramadan, studying. He goes to get his pharmacy degree, the final exam, the final one. He has to travel from Bedford all the way to Oxford. He has to go to Birmingham. He has to travel somewhere. And the people are telling him, fast, fast, fast. No, don't fast in this case. Because the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, laysa min al-bir as-sawm fi as-safar. It is not righteousness if you fast when you're traveling. What's the meaning of the hadith? When he used to fast, some of the companions, when he used to travel, some of the companions would fast, other companions wouldn't fast. Some would fast and some wouldn't fast. But over here he said, it's not righteousness for a person to travel and fast. So if a person came into Islam, and that's the only hadith that he saw, that's the only hadith. When he finds someone fasting, when he's traveling, he say, hey, it's haram for you to fast, because the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, traveling is not righteousness to travel and fast. We say, hey, take it easy. You're not a mufti, you're not a scholar. You have to get all of the ahadith, all of the ayat, all of the mawaqif, put everything together, and then you'll know what the hadith is talking about, what the ayat is talking about. It baffles me. It is weird. It's strange. It's a tragedy. For a person who doesn't know much about Islam, he may know a ayat here, a hadith there, and he comes and he makes himself a mufti about serious issues. Issues concerning the blood of people. It's jihad, he's a kafir, he deserves to be killed. Hey. You have to look at all of what's being said. And because we're not scholars, we put ourselves in our lane, and we look at the respected scholars who know what they're doing, they're competent, and then we take our religion like that. So the point is, what is the meaning? It's not righteousness to fast when you are traveling. The meaning of it is, if you're going to travel and you need your strength and your health, then don't fast. So that one who's going to go to get his pharmacy degree has to take the exam. If he's fasting from here and he drives all the way to Manchester, when he gets to Manchester, he has to sit for the exam. When he's sitting for the exam, he's not going to be sharp. And he's going to be competing with non-Muslims who may be more intelligent than him. He's going to be dealing with Muslims who didn't go through all of the difficulty that he went through. So Islam tells him, hey, take it easy on yourself. Ummatul Islam. This message of taking it easy as a husband, take it easy on your wife. She's a brand spanking new Muslim. She wasn't born and developed in Islam. So your mother, back in Tunis, back in Morocco, back in Africa, your mother, she used to wake up early in the morning before Fajr. She used to make the ibrik and get hot water, warm water, so that when your father went to use the toilet, akramakumullah, he had warm water. When he made wudu, warm water. The food was there, everything. That's how your mother grew up. May Allah bless her. That's how she grew up. That revert girl is not like that. You can't put her on par with that situation because it's two different things. Our children who grew up here, my kids, growing up right here, I can't compare my children here who are with the children who are living in another environment where Islam is helping them to be good Muslims, where the munkar is being decreased just because of the nature of the society. So therefore, when I see my kids, I see them doing something, I have to deal with it in an easy way. Now, there are just some things that go without saying. Just some things that we're not going to tolerate from our wives, from our husbands, from our children. Because I'm a Muslim, I'm not tolerating that. And if you open up that door, there's going to be a problem. But generally speaking, the Prophet ﷺ was easy. There were things he didn't tolerate. For an example, he didn't tolerate anybody disrespecting his woman, because that's from the person's fitrah. He didn't play that. You're not going to disrespect my woman, my queen. You do that, you're going to have a problem with me. And we saw he took no prisoners in this stuff. The man went to his house and knocked on the door. No one came to the door. The man bent down and looked in the keyhole, looked in the mailbox, the slit, to see what's going on. When the Prophet saw that man looking inside of his house, where his women are walking without their jilbabs, he came to the door with something and poked the man's eye out. And the man could see the way he was walking. He backed up. He said, if you would have kept your eye there, I'd have poked your eye out. When he conquered the people of Mecca, in Fath Mecca, he said, all of you people of Mecca can go. Some of you killed some of my companions. Some of you said this about me. Some of you are criminals. But everybody can go. You don't have to embrace Islam. Everybody, you're tuluqa. Everybody go, no problem. Everybody is free. But you Muslims, Abbas, Ali, Abdullah, he was telling his companions, if you find these 3 or 4 people, even if they're at the Kaaba, I want you to deal with them. Why? Because those 3 or 4 people, they used to say nasty things about his wife that were not true. They used to describe their mahasin, radiyallahu anhunna. They used to say things about Aisha and his wives. They don't know his wives, but they were trying to make a tartan in him, trying to bother him. And when that news reached him, the poetry of the Arabs, they used to say that the Nabi swore, I'm going to deal with him. And when he caught him in the day of Mecca, he let everybody go except the people who said those things about his wife. Which goes to show the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I said to you, there are certain things he didn't play around with. He didn't play around when it came to aspects of this religion, like La ilaha illallah. He didn't bend the rules for the religion. Those kuffar Quraysh said, we're willing, after seeing that your religion is spreading, we are willing, Ya Muhammad, to worship your religion for 1 year. But you worship our religion, our gods for 1 year. Those ayahs of the Quran that came down and said, no, no. Bara'atum min Allahi wa rasulihi. Allah is free from these mushrikeen and what they worship, and there's no room for that issue. But other than those serious issues, ikhwani, in this religion, in dealing with ourselves, in dealing with the community, in dealing with our families, in dealing with the kuffar, in existing with the animals, the Muslims, his existence is an existence where his existence is easy. He's tolerable and he tolerates. When things happen, no matter how strange they happen to be, he always has to try to find what would the Prophet and how would the Prophet deal with that particular issue, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the lesson of Ramadan in controlling yourself and getting disciplined is one of the things we learn. That in the Ramadan of holding back your anger, holding back, you want to argue, you want to fight, and you want to say curse words. But it's Ramadan. So you say to the person, hey, I'm fasting. That same behavior and that lesson has to be carried over, that when people around us are making mistakes, we take it easy and try to manage it. In the month of Ramadan, I'm in the car. And in the car, we want to come out. It seems in Birmingham, where we have a large Muslim population, it seems in Birmingham, the shayateen that should be tied up, they are tied up, but there are other shayateen that are running around. Our streets are the most dangerous streets in Birmingham in the month of Ramadan. At nighttime, the youngsters come out and they're drag racing and they're showing off, getting into car accidents and killing themselves and other people in the month of Ramadan every year. In the month of Ramadan, when it gets close to Maghrib time, we're rushing to get home, disobeying all of the traffic laws. So one of the things that happened in the car with someone, and as we were going out, he was a little aggressive, because if we would have stayed there, we wouldn't have ever moved. So he has to be a little aggressive, because the other people won't be courteous. You have to wait for a non-Muslim to come to say, Tfaddal. But every Muslim, he's in a rush. He's in a rush. So the brother was a little aggressive. He went up and he stopped the guy. The next one coming, a Muslim, and he drove very fast and he stopped right before us. And then the two of them got into an altercation. That Muslim there could see that this brother was a revert. He said to the brother, if you were not a Muslim, I wouldn't use some terrible language. The brother I was with got upset. And he said some stuff back to him. And then it could have led to bloodshed in the month of Ramadan. The Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in that little minuscule issue, he would have handled that so easily. He wouldn't have been the recipient, the culprit. He wouldn't have been the initiator of any road rage. It's just a matter of a few seconds that he's going to gain or you're going to gain. He's going to lose or you're going to lose. There are some issues, like I told you. If that door is open, not even open, but if someone knocks on that door, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Don't sit with a person and you want to ask him personal questions about his family. Personal questions. And you ask him, MashaAllah, you're married from where? My wife is from here. And he says, oh, how is her hair? Is her hair like that? Now, don't knock on that door, because those types of issues are from the fitrah of the person that makes it difficult for him to control himself. And the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they showed us that with so many examples. Now is not the time to get into all of those examples. So the point here, ikhwani fillah, is our religion is easy. Take it easy. Our youngsters in some of these cities that I go to, they have a group of brothers who want to establish the khilafah, and everybody should want to establish the khilafah. But the khilafah is established with gentleness in your behavior. Gentleness. And that's how the Prophet was able to win over the Muslims originally. He won over the Arabs with his gentle nature. And then when he won people over, he had the support, he had the ability. Those people were with him to establish the Khilafah. The Khilafah is not established just being rough and tough, mean and nasty. So everyone has to establish the khilaf in his own house, with his children, with gentleness, with his wife, with husband, with the neighbors, with the family, so forth and so on. Ramadan is the month of learning easiness with the people. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. 2 minutes for the last point is just as important and critical. Laylatul Qadr, Bukhari and Muslim, a number of companions came in the morning and say, Ya Rasulullah, we saw that Laylatul Qadr was in the last 27. It was in the last 7 nights. The last 7. A lot of them saw that in their dream on the same night. He told them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I see that all of you have seen that Laylatul Qadr was in the last 7 nights. So whoever's looking for Laylatul Qadr, let them look for it in the last 7 nights. Starting from the 23rd, 24, 5, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30, 29, in the last 7. Today's the 23rd, 23, 24, 5, 6, 7, 28, 29. He said, let them look for Laylatul Qadr in the last 7 nights. But then there are some other hadith, besides Bukhari. Look for Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 nights. So what about the 21st that has passed? Do we just disregard it? Is there a contradiction? As we mention all the time, one man is fasting, he said you could kiss your wife. The other man said you can't kiss your wife. There's an explanation. Don't be of the people say, look at these hadith, and you throw it away based on your ignorance. Oh, the hadith, they contradict themselves. Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. Look for Laylatul Qadr in the last odd numbers in the 10. But the other one said in the last 7. In the last 7. Is there a contradiction? No. The way we understand that, and it is important, and that's why I'm mentioning it, and what was collected by the Imam Muslim, he told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about Laylatul Qadr, iltamisu Laylatul Qadr fi al-ashr al-awakhir, wa idha da'afa ahadukum aw ajiza, fala yughlabanna ala al-saba al-bawaqi. Look for Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 nights. In the last 10, the odd numbers. But if one of you becomes tired, because what you've been doing all Ramadan, we're tired now. We're tired after 23 days. Someone sits down, and just by sitting down, he just goes to sleep. And he has a sleep where he doesn't know where he's at. When he gets awake, when they wake him up, he's discombobulated. He's tired. He says, so look for it in the last 10 nights. But if one of you becomes weak, or you can't do the last 10, then make sure you're not missing it in the last 7. That doesn't mean that Laylatul Qadr couldn't have been 21. It could have been. It could have been last night. But now, in the last few days, nights that are remaining, you have to make jihad. If you stay home last night because you're tired, because you were neglectful, okay. The Prophet allowed that, knowing how people are. His gentleness, his rahmah. He said, but don't miss these last 7 days. So we have another opportunity. These last 7 nights of Ramadan are the most important ones. And it may be the 27th, and it may be the 29th. The point is, don't miss these remaining opportunities. May Allah Ta'ala give us the ability to catch Laylatul Qadr. And may He accept from us what we put forward. May He take out of our hearts the haqq that we have towards each other. And may He also take out of our hearts the intolerance, the lack of sabr that we have, the su'adhan. And may He accept from us all of what we put forward in this month of Ramadan and help us to continue on the way of good. Establish the salat, yarhamakumullah.